one of the main things that I do is I act as a general counsel to a variety of small businesses and fund managers. So I handle all their operations, any contracts, any negotiations. It comes to me. I'm not normally in-house, but I do travel a lot, quite a bit, depending on the situation. Outside of that, I am an entrepreneur. I am in the cannabis cultivation and manufacturing in New Jersey. I do have Perry Capital, which is my own basically asset management company. And I established my own syndications and small traditional funds, mostly on the real estate side. But everything is turning back to the legal stuff because, of course, it's tax season. People want to come to me for advice or anything they should be filing, any deductions, depreciation, things of that nature. So handling that right now.
Okay, so let's start with this. Let's talk. Okay, so you're an attorney and you work with funds and, you know, all of the things that are necessary for deal flow, but you're also in cannabis, right? And cannabis, you know, we used to call them greenpreneurs or ganjapreneurs. It comes with its own set of challenges, right? And, you know, as an attorney, like where are we in the cannabis industry?
You know, the cannabis industry is volatile right now. I would say that it's not anything that you should take lightly when getting into. It's one of those areas that you have to have your plan mapped out before you start seeking funding, before you find locations, and before you start promoting and pushing your brand. Right now, all my cannabis clients, I probably have maybe close to 15 in different states. They're dealing with a variety of different state regulations. All these states are changing, even on the local level, in the municipality, the city level, they're changing the regulations, and it's affecting most of my clients and their businesses and their advances as well as build outs and things of that nature. So you just have to be really careful in how you approach cannabis these days. And then, of course, everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen on the federal level, what's going to happen on the regulations. Are the banks going to even get on board? Is that something that's going to get pushed through?
Are the banks still not on board? Are we still talking about an all cash business in cannabis?
It is. Of course, it's still going to be an all cash business. I don't care if the banks come on board or not. They're still going to lean towards the cash side of things. But the major banks, you know, all the major financial institutions, of course, they're backed and they're just basically, hey, we got to wait till the federal government lets us know what we're going to do. They will welcome the cannabis business because there's millions of dollars there. But most of the time, you're going to be dealing with, you know, private credit unions or private banks in particular cities or particular towns in the states. Those are mostly what's going on now. And we're just waiting to see if that's even going to change on a federal level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we look at the cannabis industry and kind of the early adopters, right? The entrepreneurs who kind of rushed into it, you know, like a gold rush, right? Like the Charlotte's Web is a cannabis company in Colorado, a medicinal, really beautiful story. It's sort of on this crazy trajectory and then just down. Right. So where are we now? Like for entrepreneurs who want to get into cannabis, and it is a state by state consideration,
yes,
right? It is crazy how different it is from state to state. Right. So, you know, what is your advice as an attorney and an expert in the industry for, you know, people who want to get into cannabis? Because what I tell people, I'm asking your opinion and then I'm giving you mine, right? People who, you have to put a lot of thought into what you're doing and what your niche is going to be in cannabis, right? It's not enough to just love weed and want to open a dispensary in Fort Collins. You know, I'm in Colorado, so, you know, we're a very cannabis friendly culture out there, but it has not been a smooth road all the way. You know what I mean? So what is your advice to people who maybe are a little bit too, you know, trigger happy? Yeah.
A lot of people are just jumping out there, you know, and I get clients come in all the time. Hey, I just got involved, just invested into this dispensary. Or first of all, the dispensaries are kind of heavily saturated. You see that a lot in New Mexico, especially. Some parts of California has always been that way. But you have to be prepared for that. The industry is kind of leaning towards more so brand identity versus, hey, I just got a dispensary down the street. people are just going to come in.
Yeah.
No. You got to do everything. You got to figure out how to get around the barriers of promoting online and how to get around and get the street teams back into play like they used to do in hip hop industry back in the day. You have to do that nowadays for cannabis to support your own particular brand and let your brand basically drive your next step, whether it's going to be a dispensary, whether it's going to be a partnership with a cultivator, and then let them go out and handle the manufacturing and sell your brand and product to variety of dispensaries or just create events centered around your products. That's where the industry is shifting now. Then the retailer just kind of becomes just kind of a byproduct of that.
Right.
You know, oh, I can find this brand at this dispensary, so therefore I'm going to go on a regular basis. So that's how people are looking at it now. So plan according to that. And if you do get to the point where, okay, I got a good brand, I want to open up a dispensary, I want to open up my own manufacturing cultivation facility, be mindful that wherever you're trying to get it, no matter what the state is, the state may approve your license. They may give you a conditional license, or if you have a location, they may grant you a license, but you still have the municipalities that you have to deal with, the local support that you have to get. And that process is the part that takes the longest, especially if you got to deal with the zoning board.
Right.
So you're probably looking at a bare minimum 3 months just to get through the zoning board, depending on what state you're in and what city you're dealing with. But I've seen it last as long as close to 10 or 11 months for that process. And it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on who you're using for that and what type of facility you're building. Retail dispensaries, okay, if that's all you're going for, that's great. But at this point, vertical integration is where everybody's going. Me, cultivation, manufacturing, delivery, and being a brand incubator. That's what I'm doing. Right. You know, because I see that, okay, if I come back to the dispensary, it'll be a byproduct. I already have a location. Let me just add it in. Yeah. My city that I'm at, in New Jersey, they allow up to 1,000 square feet that I can include a retail to my cultivation, manufacturing, delivery. A lot of places don't do that. So you got to basically focus on that and know what your state laws are. Yeah.
Yeah. And what makes, you know, from your perspective and kind of hands-on in that industry, what makes a brand resonate right now? Like, are there any trends that we should be looking at?
You know, I'm not going to pretend that I know. And as a 45-year-old, I'm not going to pretend that I know what's going to drive a 25-year-old to a particular brand at this point. But I do know, and what I do see is that a lot of brands are connected themselves to a variety of different aspects of the entertainment industry, whether it's film, music, and so on. And then you have those that are actually hoping, basically trying to get in touch with athletes to try to do that.
So lot like of people, influencer type campaigns.
It is heavily influencer navigated. And that's the main thing to do. I mean, big brands out there have done that. You know, they associate themselves with an influencer to a certain extent. Not necessarily that you can just use the normal social media influence, but we're talking about people that have been around for years within their particular field. If it's hip hop, it is an artist that's been around for 5 to 10 years or so, and they've been known to indulge in cannabis. Right. Yes, I want that guy to say, hey, you know, partner with me. You can come up with your own brand. We'll create it for you. Right. You know, you want your own strain. We'll create it for you. Let us know what you like. That process in itself can take 6 to 9 months because of the growth cycle of cannabis in the first place. Yeah. So matching that all up is something that I see a lot of companies aiming towards, but the time frame is what takes it up. And they're just not prepared for that piece of it. Right. So you need to prepare yourself for that side of things, that the process of going back and forth with a musician or athlete or any other influencer or public figure or social media or whatever the case may be, they need to make sure that they're in tune with the brand that they're going to be represented on and vice versa. Yeah. And they have particulars. They want their particular strain. They wanted to taste a certain way. They wanted to smell a certain way. They wanted the packaging to look a certain way. That can take some time. Yeah. I mean, it's in so many ways, it's not dissimilar to other kinds of, you know, launching brands in beverages or a clothing line. You know, you just have to know your audience. Yes. And the tastes of your audience and just read the room. Read the room. I mean, I think it's really interesting. And it's like, you know, for so long, it was an industry that was Cheech and Chong, right? Right? Like, that's it. They owned that market even before
legalization of cannabis in different states.
Yeah, and I've had clients that come to me that wanted me to create traditional funds or private equity funds focused on cannabis, or crypto, and artificial intelligence also coming into play. All of those things, you have people that are specializing in creating venture capital funds to fund those particular things. Now, they're very strict criteria that they have for certain industries, especially highly regulated industries like cannabis, to get funding from them. They're very strict on who they choose to do that. But there are funds out there that do that. I've created 6 in the past 2 years for a variety of different clients, and all of them are doing well. They're careful with their investment, but they also install the team as well, so they won't have to worry about that piece. Because a lot of people, like you said, they just get into the cannabis industry. They may have a great idea, they may have resources and things like that, but the ins and outs of managing a business, especially one that's highly regulated, is where they fall short.
Yeah.